Hello friends, this is Manoj Agrawal from Banking Frontiers. Today we are here with you with another recording, a video on the topic of ongoing discussion, that is digital transformation. But digital transformation is not a same old story, it keeps changing as business requirements keep changing, as available technologies keep changing, as innovation keeps coming into the picture. So it is a story that needs to be said again and again with new flavors. And today, to bring the flavors to this discussion, so friends, we have two very eminent people in our discussion today on these new flavors. Our first participant is Mr. Praveen Sharma. He's a CGM and CTO at Union Bank of India, definitely one of the leading banks in the country. And we have Mr. Sunil Thakur. He's a country director at BMC Software for India and SAARC. I welcome you to this program, to this discussion, and look forward to engaging with you for some new flavors and insights on digital transformation. So let me first begin by asking Praveen and then Sunil to give a brief background about themselves.
So thanks a lot, Manoj. So presently, as you have mentioned, that presently I'm Chief General Manager and CTO for Union Bank of India. So I'm responsible for entire IT department, all the initiatives on IT or the digital transformation. So anything which is happening on technology, it comes to me for any responsible for any transformation implementation. So those areas belongs to me.
Great. Thank you, Praveenji. And Sunil, can we have your introduction as well?
Surely, Manoj, and thank you, Praveenji, for that introduction. It's wonderful to talk to you today. I've been in BMC for about 6 years, and all this while I've been leading the India and SAARC business. So all operations around channel partners, direct customers, everything is what we try and manage and we improve on it. I've got a team spread across the entire region trying to address whatever our customers are looking for.
So digital transformation is actually something that is driven by a variety of forces. And these forces keep changing. So in the current scenario, what do you see as the most important forces that are driving digital transformation, particularly in banks?
So thanks, Manoj. See, as digital transformation, I see. So various factors presently also is working towards a lot of changes into the banking system. Now, the most important factor which is coming nowadays is the fintech players. So the technology which they come and the niche technology and the UI UX which they bring in, the ease which they are bringing in, that is one of the big factor for the banks to change themselves, to transform themselves and put in front of their own customers that what the service can be, how the quick can be. So those are the factors which is pushing banks to look into the niche areas, not the banking, but how the technology can support the banking. See, today environment as is a big buzzwords which is more and more is being talked about. Banks are no more banks; they are now technology. They are now the technology companies. So the more and more technology being used in different areas, which is increasing your efficiency, which is increasing your operational convenience to the customer as well as internal. And that is bringing a lot of transformation, not only in the payments area, not only the lending, not only the asset side, but across the bank, it is forcing you either you change or down the line 5 year to 7 year, you may not be there. So threats through the fintechs is one of the major factor. The neo banks, another factor, because those neo banks are also, if you see, the background is the fintech. And just to give you some flavor on that, what kind of things which we are planning. So we have set up a vision for ourselves that 50% of our retail lending we propose to have by 2025 through digital mode. So we are targeting into that, and to achieve that, what are the things which we require to be in place? Work is on that. So that kind of transformation which is happening, and these are the factors for us to push that yes, transformation is very important and within a time bound manner.
Fantastic. In fact, when you mentioned fintech, one of the things that came to mind is that fintech itself is expanding. So there is fintech, there is direct tech, there is bank tech, there is insure tech, and so many other techs. Agri tech, for example, might also be playing a role, kind of things. And then there are big techs and there are small techs, and obviously there are medium techs. So this fintech is actually become a very big umbrella nowadays.
See, today we are one of the bank who is doing end to end, who has already done the end to end lending in terms of Shishu Mudra. So we are, from the sourcing point till the disbursement, it is fully automated. No manual intervention in any of the place, whether it's a KYC or the documentation, everything has been done. So that kind of automation, which is pushing us, and the transformation which we are bringing on.
So Sunil, what is your understanding or what is your thinking as banks move from old legacy systems which have been there for 20, 30, 40 years to new systems, whether it is on premise or in the cloud? What are the challenges they're facing? And more importantly, how can they quickly overcome those challenges and not be bogged down by challenges? Because being bogged down by technology is no fun.
Manoj, first of all, let me say that that's a great question. And like Praveenji said, banking is no more banking, it's all technology, right? So what we had envisaged some time back, maybe 3-4 years back, is by 2025, most successful companies will actually be technology companies, right? So everybody will have technology embedded inside. But coming back to your question, let me try and explain this with a bit of context. Okay. So all companies, be it or government agencies also, they're all going through digital transformation. However, most, like you rightly said, don't have the luxury of starting from a blank sheet. The initiatives will have to go through a web of new and existing technologies. The idea is in pursuing all these digital transformation journeys to go closer to the end users. That's what Praveen is talking about, whether these users are employees or end customers. So while we have this new age team, which is working on agile methods, they have to interact with the existing infra and process any which way. And these infra, as you said, could be established in multiple generations, maybe a mainframe, server environment, 3-tier environment. And it has come over the years, the process and all those things have got created and they're already in existence. So what the organizations today are struggling with is to establish a balance with these DevOps, which are innovating, and the risk mitigation in the existing framework. So the world is not simpler for all these large organizations, but it is getting more complicated. So let's take an example of mobile banking. Now, most of us use it now. So mobile banking was picked off largely because of consumer demand. As apps took off, everybody wanted to do banking on phones. And secondly, as Praveenji was talking about, large bank and financial institutions are feeling the fintech disruption. So the banks started to build up these apps quick and to improve on the capabilities continuously. Now, you can see these mobile apps, even from all the banks now, they're all getting frequently updated. So the front end is designed by DevOps and Agile team. But what actually happens is that every time you look into your account, check your balance, move money, it hits the back end, which could be a myriad of technologies with multiple types of hardware, databases, application, on-prem, on-cloud, applications with regulatory control. It's complex, right? So while the front end team wants to make continuous changes, but the back end is highly controlled, highly secure, and has a long winding change management process. All this is at some point causing a plateauing of DevOps, right? So you can replace this, a bank with an e-commerce or a self-service for employees. Just about any end user application will have all these complexities in a very large organization where processes have come over a period of time. Now, think about it when something goes wrong or it doesn't work. There is always this confusion on where the issue came up. And let me be a little more direct and say, where does the blame lie? Now, this is a complex environment, and there are multiple ways in which BMC as an organization is trying to help in this complex situation. So let me first explain what changed. We have now started to provide a uniform environment between service management and operations management. They were a very different environment. Now, focus here is a unified environment. So whether it is service data such as problem ticket, incident ticket, change ticket, or you can have operations data like logs and metrics and events and configuration, they all get stored in a single place by all the applications on top. In addition to this data storage at a common place, there are shared components such as integration components to trigger automation, integration component to pull in additional data. There are open APIs so that third-party tools can leverage this data, or there are portals for common access and shared data. Now, one huge advantage that this brings in is that we can do a lot of analytics because the data is at one place. But if you have this unified platform and it gives you the ability to pull the data continuously in a real time on a dashboard, everybody can look at, then all can say with a degree of confidence that there is a high probability that the error or problem is coming from this place or that place. Okay. Now, in a complex world where there is a DevOps team and there is a old generation technology which is available, there are silos. So in many ways, we are helping to break down these silos, especially when the teams have to come collaborate on two different technologies to deliver this new and improved functionality that is so critical for banks to survive and fight the competition.
Has it actually become easier for banks to resolve problems, to do root cause analysis, or it still remains a big challenge?
The more and more simplification of the front end will make you more and more complex the back end.
Correct.
And because the changes which is happening, looking into the customer convenience, looking into the customer comfort, your front end has to be very, very simple. The young generation, the millennials or the Z or the Y, whatever you call, none of the people wants to give any of the information while they want the transaction. Don't ask me anything. My transaction should be complete. That's my demand as a customer. You should have everything with you. Do the transaction. And when the things are so complex, till the time IT is working good, fantastic.
Right.
But if it starts creating the trouble, it always becomes difficult to pinpoint where is the problem. It's not impossible. It's possible. But it becomes difficult. And when scenarios becoming difficult, then your turnaround time increase. Then your bringing the services to the normalcy will increase.
Right.
Because in today's environment, the cyber security is also playing a critical role. It's a very, very critical role. So the more and more simplification which you have done in the front end, the cyber security requirement, the compliance also comes into the back end.
And you can't compromise that at all.
You can't compromise. Looking into that complexity, it takes little more time in pinpointing the problems.
So how does a typical bank figure out the cost of either downtime or cost of poor service, delayed service? What kind of metrics are used for that?
So there are multiple ways, Manojji, for calculating that what is the impact on the business.
Mm-hmm.
Though the example which I'm going to give may be a little old one, but still it is very relevant. So if you calculate the transaction cost today, if a transaction is happening through my branch channel, it will cost you somewhere around 100 rupees to 120 rupees. Vary on the location, vary on the other infrastructure costing and all. But if you do the same transaction, the second most preferred channel is ATM, where you need the cash and all. But after pandemic, the cash transactions are coming down. Then the channel transactions are increasing. So the mobile channel is increasing. So the net banking is increasing. And if you calculate the cost of these channels, the mobile is costing you somewhere around 7 to 8 rupees per cost per transaction. Net banking, it is little less, some 3 to 4 rupees. Then you can calculate what is the impact, how many transactions per hour I am hitting through each of the channel. If suppose my mobile banking has gone down, per hour I am handling say 50 lakhs of transactions. That is my impact. These are the way when the business impact you can calculate. But there are certain factors which you may not be able to calculate. The reputation loss, how much the reputation has gone, what my customer has started feeling. If I'm giving you a downtime, if my services are not available to you, and at the time when you need the most, you may not be ready to transact with me. So it's a huge cost. Then I have lost my customer. So the uptime is utmost importance in case of IT. So the availability of any resource is a very, very important factor while you are, because in the beginning when we were discussing that when banks are no more banks, they are more on technological or more a technology company, then your technology has to run all the time. You cannot afford to have a downtime. None of the technological system will just simply fail. It will give you some inputs. It will start giving you certain alerts. If your software, if your people who are doing that monitoring, they are attentive, they are able to diagnose, yes, this alert has come. What is the indication of this alert? Whether is it going to create the problem for me? And I am fixing that issue within the required time, your downtime will not be there.
Right.
You deploy software for monitoring, you deploy people for monitoring, you deploy anything on that. It's a combination which works. The resource, the monitoring software, the person. And one more, the correlation. The multiple, because application will give you some logs, server will give you some logs, some of the load balancer will give you certain logs, network will give you the logs. If you are able to correlate and understand where my transaction is started getting the response low, there is something going to be problematic. Pinpoint that in the quick time, you are there. So that's the mechanism which need to be put in place, and we also have put in place that kind of softwares.
Okay.
So it is helping us, but IT is IT.
So Sunil, presumably the kind of technology that BMC is developing has a lot of intelligence in it. Maybe it is modeled on human body, human mind. How much automation is there? How much do you really need people in the loop? What kind of things can be resolved automatically? Is there improvement in those kind of things?
All these systems give you the alerts, but can you get that alert? Actually, the problem is it's alerts all the time. And can you filter it to be the alert on which you have to act? If you can do that, that's fine, like your human body, right? All in all, what we all understand clearly is this massive shifting of transaction to digital, which is actually only accelerated in the last 1 or 2 years. We are moving into a world where systems have to give access and serve well 24/7 perfectly. Brand differentiation is getting influenced by the digital performance of the organization. And to be very fair, that depend on the success of the supporting complex dynamic infrastructure and apps that power all of them. Now, what we have done is we have started using machine learning, data analytics, artificial intelligence extensively in all our technologies, just to put you ahead of the game, right? The idea is to have information to fix any problems quicker, probably being proactive to find and fix issues even before they occur or impact the customer. I mean, that's the idea that we should move into, right? Let me give you a few examples. How can you tell the difference between a routine fluctuation in utilization and a problem in making in your infrastructure? So what we used to do all the time is we would set static threshold. So if the CPU utilization went beyond 80%, you will get an alert, right? So even for spikes that are perfectly understandable, for example, high CPU usage first thing on the Monday morning is perfectly understandable. It happens, but you'll start getting alerts, right? So those are distractions that start to happen. In our tools, what we have done is we've added a layer of machine learning algorithms. We establish a learned baseline that reflects a typical utilization patterns over the course of the week. So you still have the static threshold for each resource, but now you are only alerted if the utilization is both over the threshold that you've set for static and beyond the learned baseline that the system has learned, right? So you have fewer and very targeted alerts. So when your environment is constantly changing, and whose isn't, right? So it's inevitable that for any new configuration, you'll have a lot of triggers, unintended consequences now and then. What this all means is it starts flooding a key resource. And you said, IT resources are scarce. If you flood a key resource, and especially if that happens in the peak time for something that is fairly understandable, what happens is his performance suffers. And you hear a lot about this from customers and business, and you're right saying in what you were saying. Now, let me go back to the earlier example. Can we become like a crystal ball and predict something is going to fail and then fix it before it fails? That's the world that we are moving into, right? So we have already talked about using machine learning to set baseline based on typical usage pattern, then watch for deviation from those norms so it can be alerted. That foresight allows you to become more predictive and proactive approach to a problem resolution. Typically, like Praveen was saying, the interval between a deviation from a normal baseline and a disruption in service typically is about 3 hours. And that gives you enough time to address the issues even before the user notices it. And with data analytics embedded, you can do a lot more analytics. You can just see the patterns. You've got multiple patterns that are correlated, and you come to a conclusion, okay, this is about to fail over a period of time, or this is heading in a direction where it failed last time. The second thing that you can also do is when it comes to fixing a problem, you have all these analytics inside, right? You can spend the whole day chasing down the effect of a problem, or you can use these modern tools and go straight where the problem is, and you can nullify that in one go. So all in all, what I'm saying is the modern technology is about using these machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics in operations and IT management. Thereby, if you have to serve your customer or your employees in a perfect world, in a perfect way, you will be at least, what I would say, have the strength and power to be able to do that. So that's the world that we are moving into.
Bank to be effective and to retain the trust of its customers and to retain its reputation, how can it manage these growing threats and the number of tools that it uses? How can it automate so that the unnecessary, the minor things are sorted out or taken care of, or false positives are kind of eliminated? How is information technology helping you do all that?
That cybersecurity is a utmost importance, and threats are increasing day by day. The more and more technology, more and more threats. More convenience, more threats. Luxury, threat. जितना भी आप ऊपर लेके जाते हो उतना threat आता है. Automatic. But nevertheless, it gives you the opportunity also. It gives you the convenience also. As a bank, nowadays, almost I will say 10 years, since last 10 years back, IT investments are quite good, which helps you to set up the systems wherein you can put up the remote support, remote working. And as a Union Bank of India, we were also having such kind of setups, which has helped the bank to extend and take the support from their own staff or to the partners employees, how best they can support in the tough times. Cybersecurity, definitely a challenge, but then such kind of tools, which Sunil is also explaining, where you can do the entire logs correlation, take the logs, correlate, and monitor that. So system is configured to give you the best of the alert by removing the false positive, that which is of no use, which is of use.
Hmm.
And there are set of people who are trained in that kind of technology, that how this can be better utilized, how these areas are more focused. So when the pandemic situation is on rise, you are giving much more remote access to the people, then that area has to be more focused. Teams are advised that yes, you have to look into this area, the log kind of logs which are coming into this area, more and more focused. Any minor alert also should be attended to. What is this, what is happening? Controls, we keep on dynamic in nature, based on the requirement, based on the kind of the security movement is happening, we try to do. Plus our regulator also helps us.
Hmm.
They keep on advising on various parameters. We have also set up certain monitoring into the SIM tools, and those are the areas we have also setting up cyber security setup. And mostly one more parameter, how well you are giving the training to your staff, how you are making them abreast with the next latest technologies available. So we keep on putting the people for various trainings, and make them know to the level that where what the technology which we are using,
Hmm.
are we competent enough to monitor that, we are competent enough to configure that, and most is what the best automation which you can do in this kind of things. If I'm getting some alert and which system feels that this is above the benchmark,
Hmm.
what control has to be put in place? Put the control automatic.
Interesting. So, with all the automation happening, is there an opportunity or a benefit when IT operations teams and IT security operations teams, do they kind of work together to resolve issues faster or to prevent issues from arising, or do they continue to work in silos?
No, so if you see, these two teams are very important, and their collaboration is also very important. But also, as per the the requirement, the roles clarity,
Hmm.
and this has to be bifurcated as well, because both having a different role.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, there will be a conflict of roles and conflict of interest.
I'm
But
just wondering, they may have a lot of common data that they use.
100%, they have the more because they are working in very close coordination.
Oh,
One is monitoring from the IT side, another one is monitoring from the security side, but the device is common.
yes, correct, correct.
So device is common.
Absolutely.
Now the one team monitors that what all is happening, then they give that, okay, these are the things which is need to be done. So the implementation team comes into the picture, okay, I will implement this. Now, both the team, unless they coordinate with each other,
Yes,
it may not give you the best of the results.
correct.
Coordination between these two teams, whether it's an IT operation or the IT security operations,
Hmm.
are little common. The line is very thinner, but the coordination only can help you to further strengthen these areas.
Do you see a more common ground emerging between banks and IT companies in terms of capex and opex that is beneficial for both? Is it become easier to do business from the money point of view?
World is moving towards consuming and paying as they use, right? That's where everybody is moving towards. And this goes in for your licensing of for your software also same, right? So whether you are taking it on-prem or you're taking it in source in SaaS, the consumption model still is, pay as you go. So it's less about capex; it's moving more towards opex in that sense. So that's getting an traction. But I mean, as I always feel that there is this two world which exist, and there is going to be a time when probably we'll have a uniform platform. But this is a transition phase in
Oh,
which we are where we're moving towards. But I think from the conversation that I've been having with a lot of our customers, there is a genuine interest in looking at things which are term length based, things which are SaaS based. That's the kind of model that people are more interested in now.
and Praveenji, are banks comfortable with that kind of model increasingly?
See, banks are always open for various thought processes and how the industry is working. We as a bank also looks when we have to onboard any partner, whether it's a service or infrastructure or XYZ. So
Hmm.
whatever is in the requirement which brings out to be. So we see from this side that the requirement what is coming, is my team having a good expertise into that,
Okay.
or is my team having a less understanding, and it may be a very new technology which we want to venture into this, which I really don't know today what is the future of this technology down the line, 1 year or 2 year.
Hmm.
So taking that technology on a capex model is going to be a costly affair, which I'm not knowing the future.
Right.
So can I explore the possibility of having an OPEX model where pay per use is there? I can request the to the service provider and the partner that, hey, this is my requirement. Can you put up your system to support me in this kind of requirement? And this is my expected volume of growth and all, so that you are ready. If it grows, this is the way it is going to happen. So various model can be worked out, and all partners see that what the requirement of the organization is, and then they change some models here and there, whether it's purely a capex model, whether it's a purely an opex model, or a build and operate model. So you build on my premises, operate, and at the end of the day, maybe down the line 3 years or 5 years, an agreement, okay, this will be because during the last 3 years you have already your capex has been recovered. So whether these many licenses, these many product can be given to the organization and for their use, and maybe the kind of support cost can be keep on paying, so that the systems are in support. So those models bank use based on the requirement of particular service or a particular product, what bank is trying to do. So depending on that, the various models we use.
Okay. Okay. Let's say ensuring that all kinds of processes, uh, that the capacity is there, that the service level is there, uh, that infrastructure is uh, neither too redundant nor under provisioned. Are those kind of issues also becoming solvable in a dynamic manner, whether using cloud or using private cloud or on-prem or technology versus non-technology, any approach? Are we making sure that that all that infrastructure for the software is, ideal?
It's not only the movement to the cloud.
Hmm.
See, cloud as an infrastructure you are able to use, but the most benefit of the cloud will be when your application is designed to use the cloud functionality.
Yes. Correct.
Your application is a cloud native application. Your application is designed with the modern technology, with the containerization. Then only it will be giving you the benefit of the cloud. So unless as a bank, you are able to develop your application to suit to the cloud, whether you are in private cloud or you are in public cloud, it remains. It is not going to give you, because finally metal is metal. It's only the placement. Whether you put it in the so-called public cloud, whether it's an AWS or the Google or the Amazon or the Microsoft, anything, or you are putting in Union Bank of India,
Metal is
that
metal.
will cost you almost same. It does not bring you much difference. The difference brings how quickly you are able to give the more resources based on the requirement, how you are able to handle the bust. But those things can be the best use if your application is designed to be handled on the cloud.
Correct. Is your tools and technologies help banks migrate faster? Do they help they run in the cloud better? Do you have those kind of things?
Yeah, we do, and it's a very important tool. I see a lot of interest coming in those tools. So one of the things that we were talking about constantly is we are living in a world of disruption, and disruption means the IT part of the organization is trying to address to all this disruption. The problem with this is it's very challenging for the IT department to actually have an optimized IT resource to be accurate, to be efficient all the time.
Correct.
If you think about the volume of data, it's growing exponentially, as is the number of application, device type, users, along with all their expectation. So there was a survey, and nearly 9 in 10, which is almost like 90% of 86%, I would say, of 150 IT decision makers across US, UK, Germany, France, surveyed by IDG, they find it very challenging or extremely challenging to optimize their IT resources to meet their changing business demand adequately. And as complexities and volume grow, visibility across the entire ecosystem shrinks. And because they lack visibility, the IT organizations and the lines of business, they have what I call as a lose-lose choice. They can spend more and over provision resources to be sure that they are available when the demand requires them. Right? So the IDG survey also indicates that the IT professionals must juggle through multiple tools to manage capacity and cost of their hybrid cloud environments, making end-to-end visibility all but, I would say, impossible. Right? So we have this tool called BMC Helix Continuous Optimization, which gives some kind of a service assurance, right? You can view your usage and performance of the infrastructure across on-premise, multi-clouds, Kubernetes, containers, and pod, the kind of technology that you have. You can apply advanced predictive analytics to identify the optimization opportunities that you have, which resource is free at certain period of time, which can be used by somebody else who is actually resource intensive at that period of time. Minimize potential change-related resource problem, and probably do what-if simulations. You can forecast saturation levels. You can identify impending saturation dates, and you can send notification. So you can do all of that. So we now know that this is all gaining huge importance. And as Praveenji rightly says, regulators are now playing a very important role. I mean, they are suggesting a lot of things. And what we hear is these are, having tools like this is one of the advice that probably regulators are pushing in for all the organizations to have a formal process around what I call as capacity planning. And this can be a huge help, especially when you're moving business workloads, you're answering sudden changes, like something as sudden as a lockdown that comes in, and there's a sudden surge in resources. You're not on cloud. Your applications are not designed for doing that, right? What do you do, right? You've got to find resources within your entire capacity that you have to be able to allocate to the high resource hungry application at that point in time, right? What this helps you to do is it minimizes the risk of failure of business services, which suddenly become high in demand. So it's extremely important for every organization now to have capacity planning mechanism, capacity planning tool, which gives you the entire visibility of the whole organization and gives you that analytics to help you plan.
Oh, so Praveen, your closing remarks, and then Sunil also.
So you come out with your pain points, technology is there to solve. And that is the requirement which Sunil is also mentioning, that what are the problems which any organization facing today. We have the technology to solve the issues, whether it in terms of sourcing, or in terms of monitoring, or in terms of maintenance, whatever you call. So technology is going to solve the problems. It is going to make you the things faster, and that is called the transformation. So how you are making your legacy to the more efficient and getting transformed for you.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and Praveen, the future is going to be technology. All organizations are going to be technology driven. Data is your new oil, and you've got to know what to do with your data. I mean, you're getting data from so many sources these days. It's how you handle that data and get the right information for you to act on. It's going to be important. And customer service will completely transform. So no more we are going to look at a generic service level. So if a bank is calling me, like Praveenji said, I want the bank to know who I am, what kind of requirement I have, and then do that discussions with me. So that's already information that needs to be gathered. So data is going to be the key for making all these decisions. And as we see the changes, the fintech disruption and everything, everybody needs at the tip of finger everything. The real-time impact can only come if you have a lot of automation in your organizations. The real-time feel only comes with the automation. So I would say paying attention to your data, paying attention to your customer, and paying attention to automation and being future ready is what we should all start planning now.
That's a very simple way of putting it. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Praveenji. Thank you, Sunil, for a wonderful discussion. We have explored the new flavors of digital transformation. So thank you for that wonderful insights. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sunil, and thanks a lot, Manoj. And thanks to Ashish. Thank you very much.
Yeah, again, I would also say thank you to everyone, and it's been an honor and privilege to be talking to you.